Do you think the eye is a superior instrument to the camera?
Yes and no. I think each one has advantages, and the job of the good photographer is to use the superiority of the camera to his advantage and avoid the inferiority. And for instance, some instances where the camera is superior to the eye is due to the fact that the focal length of the lens of the eye is fixed. In other words, we see everything always in the same scale, no matter what we do. While if we use a camera, we can put on lenses with long, short, medium focal length and get any degree of scale or magnification that we want.
Andreas Feininger's unshakable belief in the capacity of the camera to enrich people's way of seeing is reflected in his many books on photography. Anatomy of Nature, Experimental Work, and many others have been a source of inspiration to photographers all over the world. Feininger was born in 1906. The son of Lionel Feininger, the famous Bauhaus painter, he grew up in a world of painting and design which influenced much of his thinking. With the rise of Hitler, he left Germany and emigrated first to Sweden and then to America, where he became a photographer for Life magazine. He has spent his life trying to extend the possibilities of the camera. Experiments with close-up photography of the very small objects in nature have preoccupied him over the last few years. He was one of the first to use telephoto lenses, achieving stunning new perspectives and visual patterns. Feininger's contribution to experimental photography has earned him a place among the master photographers.
Now, I'll start with a shell. This is what is called a fig shell, which is a very lovely thing, but it doesn't look like much, and most people would not pay any attention to it. This is the way I photographed it. Here is another thing. This is a fragment of a shell, which absolutely looks like nothing, but it is eroded, and the internal structure becomes visible. If I light this thing properly, this is what I get. This is the actual object and the picture of it, believe it or not.
Now for this effect, do you have to take many photographs?
No.
Or?
No, I take only one. I look at this very closely. I'm very nearsighted, and when I take off my glasses, I can look this close and see the structure of this thing. And when I walk along the beach and pick up these things, I hold them so the sunlight hits them at an angle, which brings out the relief and the texture. And I put it in my pocket, take it home, photograph it, and this marvelous thing comes out of it. Now, here we have a shell of the kind that anybody has seen before and bought probably in a gift shop at the beach somewhere. Looks like nothing, looks like a piece of kitsch. But I photograph it because I'm intrigued with this, and this is what I get. This to me has dignity and has a beautiful form, and it somehow suggests the sea, the ocean, the wind, the air, the sky. It obviously is a composition. It is artificially put together to get a specific effect. That is not nature faking. That is, you may call it art or whatever you want to, but it is deliberately done to get the best effect out of the shell, the strongest visual and emotional effect. Here we have one, what I consider one of the most beautiful of all shells. It's called the Venus comb shell. And this is the way it looks, and this is the way I photograph it.
Why do you think that the photograph seems to have an aggressive quality?
You touch this thing and you will feel instantly why I think it is aggressive. Just put your hands around it.
Oh yes, it's very sharp.
It bites you. It is needle pointed all over. It is nothing but aggression. Yes.
And it disguises it in nature and
Yes,
brings it out
yes,
in the
yes,
photography.
but that's a feeling. Also, what intrigues me is that this is what I call a form of the sea. It looks partly like a fish skeleton and partly like the ribs of a boat, of a wooden boat. These parallel curved pieces. And it is so unmistakably of the sea. And again, by making it large, you see so much more than you would see if you have the thing in front of you, particularly if you see it in a museum, in a showcase, behind glass.
But if we would pause and take time and look at the actual object, wouldn't we come to a much deeper understanding of this object by looking at the object than going via the photograph?
Yes, that's true, but how many people have the chance of holding this thing in their hands and studying it, actually? Well, if I make a photograph and put it in a book and sell 10,000 copies, you know,
It's
that's the
dissemination,
difference.
yes.
Yes, and the camera enriches your life, both visually and emotionally. In the realm of thought, you think more, you wonder, what is it, why is it, you feel something, you enjoy, you get respect of nature.